Well, the House of Representatives just passed the bill to force the release of the Epstein Files, and now it heads to the Senate, and the president has committed to passing it if it does reach his desk. It did not get altered, even though House Speaker Mike Johnson said he wanted to. Again, it's worth noting that the bill does allow the Justice Department to make redactions if they are related to a current investigation, and odd timing, but the Justice Department has said, yes, we are going to open a brand new investigation. That was confirmed by Attorney General Pam Bondi, saying that she has assigned U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton to lead the renewed Epstein investigations, despite the fact that he has relationships to people who are named in the Epstein. Okay, fine. No one else was available, I suppose. So what can we expect from this bill, this information release? Joining us to discuss is Ann Coulter. She's been warning about this for years. And in fact, she even shows up in the Epstein emails. Here is Epstein saying, Ann Coulter keeps writing about this. She's obsessed with me. She's like, basically, he sees her as someone who is a dog with a bone. I'm not calling you a dog at all. I'm saying this is a badge of honor because you were on this before it was popular because of this article written in 2019. This is a piece where you detail how Democrats ignored the Epstein case and which Democratic DAs either dropped the ball or hid the ball. So she's not new to this scandal.
Ann Coulter joins Redacted for the first time. I can't believe this is like the first time that you've been on the show. What the hell is going on that we haven't had you on before? Ann, great to see you again.
Great to see you. Great name for it, especially now with the files coming out, Redacted.
It is kind of funny because people are sharing today, like, oh, great, we're going to get the files and they're all going to be redacted. And we're going to see like 3 words on these redacted files once we get a chance, once the DOJ gets their hands on this. So I know you're celebrating this. We've been celebrating this. This is a big win for Massey. We're going to get these documents. But are we really?
Yes, that is obviously what people are very concerned about. I'm also concerned, separately, I tweeted this the other day, that this will end up being like Al Capone's vault, because I have been following this case since 2006, and I got the only national news program to cover it, Bill O'Reilly on Fox News, bless his soul. He led with it one day because the DA prosecutor, as you just mentioned, for Palm Beach, he's the one. I mean, the Palm Beach police were magnificent. They had basically everything Julie Brown had in her Miami Herald article. It was all in the Palm Beach Post. And it was this Democrat DA, Barry Krischer, who completely buried it. And that's when the chief of police screamed bloody murder and took it to the U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta. Liberals only want to talk about Alex Acosta because many years later he ends up in Trump's cabinet. And oh my gosh, we have a connection to Trump. But it wasn't really a federal case back then. It was child molestation, pedophilia on this one resort island. That isn't a federal case. Only if you get to the island and flying girls in from New York or from Paris, as the case may be. But one of the things I wrote about this when they busted Epstein out at Teterboro was it was a little noticed point in a New York Times article. They get a search warrant. They've arrested Epstein. They go into his fabulous, largest private residence in New York City, and the FBI agent in charge, a girl, Special Agent McGuire, they bust open a safe. It takes the FBI hours to get this safe open, gigantic safe, and they find a huge cache of tapes, and they're marked girl's name, name of male. So what does Agent McGuire do? Well, they find it and they just leave. They leave. So all of Epstein's employees have 24 hours to clear it out. His lawyer comes in, carts off the tapes, and then Agent McGuire comes back the next day and, the safe is empty now. So she finds out the lawyer's taken it, and he says, don't worry, I'll return all the tapes. Gosh, I didn't know you were going to need these. So from what looks like unbelievable incompetence, and I have very little faith in female law enforcement agents, yet and still, oh my gosh, does this case look like a cover-up from beginning to end. I'm worried that a lot of this stuff has already been removed, either by FBI agents looking away, by Epstein's people working for Epstein themselves. They're not wildly law-abiding. I mean, all of this, and perhaps now. So I'm a little bit worried about what has already been removed. And all I can say about that to calm people's fears is these are massive violations of the law. I will even say the one crime Trump broke, for which he was, endlessly prosecuted every 6 minutes when he was out of office, were the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. And I kept telling my friends, any lawyer will tell you, you can't, if there's a subpoena for something, it doesn't matter. If it's Michael Jordan sneakers, you have to produce it. You have to produce it, or everybody goes to prison. That's most of what New York law firms do. They're just producing documents. It's a really thrilling job. But, either you produce documents they're requesting, they're incriminating your client, or everybody at the law firm goes to prison for not producing the documents. So this is a very serious crime, whether it happens going forward now or in the past. And as for everybody's talking about, as you mentioned, is very important. The resolution put in very narrow and legitimate exceptions for current national defense concerns, for the privacy of innocent victims, of innocent bystanders, and standard with, for example, a FOIA request. It can't interfere with a current investigation. I think you just mentioned that. Oh my gosh, just Friday, Trump said, Pam Bondi, I demand that you investigate all these Democrats. So is that an ongoing investigation? I got to tell you, I don't think any court is falling for that. It has to be a legitimate investigation. It has to have been started before the request for the documents. This is in the FOIA request area. And 2 months ago, Trump's attorney general, his FBI, head of his FBI, and Trump himself said, there's nothing to investigate in here. We found no evidence of a crime. So that was their argument up until right before Damocles' sword fell. I don't think anybody's going to say, oh, but now there's an investigation. I don't believe any court would fall for that. It might take some time in court to prove it, though.
Yeah, they called it a hoax, even.
Right. But who would be challenging them in this instance in a court of law?
The Congress.
The Congress would. Okay.
Yes, they want their resolution. They want it fulfilled. We're demanding. It's as if it isn't a FOIA request. Because Trump could release these documents on his own. He doesn't have to wait for the vote, as I think everybody's pointed out. But when they get the documents, when they see, removed because current investigation, no, Congress has a full right to go to court. And I mean, legitimately, I know courts keep ruling against Trump, but that's preposterous. You cannot have your attorney general announce, we don't see any evidence of a crime. Absolutely can't. We got nothing to go on here. Everybody go home. And then 2 months later, right before your hand is forced, we're going to start an investigation. No court will fall for that.
What do you suspect is in the full tranche of documents here, based on your reporting?
Well, what we want, and this is part of what drove me crazy about Pam Bondi's an initial statement and the media coverage of it. We didn't find Epstein's black book. We didn't find a client list. Like I say, I've been following this case since 2006. Nobody thought there was going to be a black bookmarks client list, fellow pedophiles. No, we want, I mean, there are these tapes. She said she has, I think, 10,000 photos and videos. Virginia Giuffre, for reasons I described in my column last week, well, to some extent, I think is absolutely the most credible witness. And I'll just say briefly, I tend to be highly skeptical that a biological father would molest his own daughter. This is an irrelevant point. Read that book, Virginia Giuffre's book. I think it's true here. And if something like that happens to you, you have been turned into such a damaged creature. She was with Epstein from the beginning. A lot of these girls would say, I won't do that, I won't do that. From her very first day, she was doing everything with, and I mean, she wasn't happy about it. It's a very sad book, with Jeffrey, with Ghislaine. And so I consider her the longest lasting and most credible of the victims. And she has this book out there. And yeah, she was farmed out to other individuals. And she says there were cameras all over. One thing I didn't care for in the resolution was, and something Bondi said, there can be no images of child abuse or child pornography. I mean, obviously you got to protect the child. Have you heard of photographic blurring? It's been around for 100 years. Blur the girl's face. blur her private parts. But I want to see the face of the perpetrator in Technicolor. I want that clear. I want the names. And I think it exists. It may take a while to get the DOJ to cough it up. But yeah, that's what we want.
But this artifact of your 2019 article, I mean, it's an amazing cross-section of time. Well, what we knew 6 years ago, and it continues to track with what we know today. And you said that the Castle and Edwards, who had filed their case on behalf of the victims, did name names. They alleged Bill Clinton, Dershowitz, and Prince Andrew. And those people continue to sort of run from this, from the light, and it's highly likely that there will be something like that. Can you imagine seeing something like that of former President Clinton?
I personally, and this is just a guess, and no one has a lower opinion of Bill Clinton than I do, I find it hard to believe that either Bill Clinton or Donald Trump was actually diddling little girls. I think Clinton had other motives. I think he was enjoying the private rides. I think he was getting a lot of pressure from perhaps international interests, and wanted to hang around with Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe he wanted to, be around all the beautiful girls in their 20s and 30s. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I do not expect to find any child diddling there. Prince Andrew, I mean, I've heard people say, no, there's no evidence that it was just, I mean, this is the argument on behalf of Bondi saying, no, we didn't find any evidence of a crime, but we also found lots of child porn. I don't know, child porn's a crime. So this is kind of a contradictory statement. The argument has been that Epstein was only taking pictures and videos of himself having sex with the girls, and there's no evidence that anybody else had sex with them. Well, okay, then you got to explain Prince Andrew. You got to explain that model scout from Paris, Jean-Luc Brunel, who was accused by Virginia Giuffre and other underage or girls who had sex with it and raped when they were underage, like Jeffrey Epstein, committed suicide in jail. Explain that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so speaking of that, we've just heard from his brother, Epstein's brother, who's been kind of making the rounds on media over the past couple of days, I suppose, and saying that there was a facility in Virginia which has been wiping the names of Republicans off of these lists. Which, what do you make of that? I mean, these files have been in the hands of like multiple administrations. They're now just going through them like right at the 11th hour. What do you make of Jeffrey Epstein's brother coming out and making these claims in the past few hours?
Batshit crazy. Sorry, I can't say it that way, but I mean, I will stick to what I've said. The only thing that militates against what I've said, but though the FBI, like I say, they just walked out and left all the tapes behind. To pull this off in a big way, you would have to have a lot of people involved. You would have a lot of witnesses. And these are serious crimes. And everyone going through the documents right now better know they're going to prison if they remove anything now. I do think that it's a little bit of a telephone game. These files have been around for a while. I would really like an investigation of Special Agent McGuire and
right.
What she was thinking when she walked out of the house after blowing open the safe. No, we had a search warrant for the house, but it didn't say. I mean, could you, if she thinks the search warrant didn't cover tapes with girl's name of adult billionaire, if that's not covered by the search warrant, I know, leave an intern behind to guard the safe.
Like I could see leaving the milk in the refrigerator behind. Like we're just going to pat and the Swiss cheese that's in the refrigerator, but the safe that has the names of girls on it. Yeah, and you just leave that. So that speaks to the FBI leadership. That also speaks to the current culture at the FBI. As you mentioned, Kash Patel in front of Congress saying that he only trafficked women to himself, doubled down on that. What faith do you have in the current FBI?
And that he killed himself, full stop, right? That was another part of that interview.
You may not like this, but I didn't think so at first. I do think Epstein killed himself.
Really?
I know it looks like there was enormous number of coincidences, and all of us thought this is BS. This is BS. And by the way, 2 weeks before, maybe it was a week before he killed himself, I sent out a tweet to Department of Prisons: move Jeffrey Epstein to a supermax prison now. Do it now before someone kills him. So I was anticipating it. You had the cameras breaking down. You had the cellmate being moved out of his cell. You had the guards not making the rounds. And then, I mean, I do trust Bill Barr. He looked into it. And the other thing is, you can never underestimate the utter incompetence of the government. Remember when the black guy shot up the subway in New York City? It was like 2 years ago. Shot a lot of people, goes running out. All of the cameras in the subway station were down. Yeah. Welcome to the government.
Right. Well, welcome to New York City for sure. Right. Wow.
But I'm sorry, what was the other thing you said?
Well, just the competence of the FBI.
Kash Patel.
Kash Patel and the leadership of the FBI.
I like Kash Patel, so I'm sorry that Trump has put him and Dan Bongino in this position. I don't know. What would I do? What would I advise Kash Patel or Bongino? We do want to keep good people there. And if they resign, but I find it very, very, very hard to believe what he was saying there. I'm sorry. I'm believing Kash Patel. I do think it's very weird that Trump is so hysterically opposing the release of these documents. And obviously it tends to show everyone is thinking, what do you have to hide, Buster? And I have long thought it's to protect his donors and perhaps some allied governments. And this week, I did a podcast on my Substack because I figured it out. A light bulb went on over my head why. Part of the reason I think Trump is so hysterically opposing the release of these documents, I was reading through all the emails, releasing stuff on Ken Starr's friendly emails to Epstein. Oh my gosh, those were embarrassing. And Michael Wolff's. Oh my gosh, those were embarrassing. Yes. It's all on AnnCoulter.substack.com.
Yeah.
Yes. But what was striking about the mass of the emails was Trump wasn't emailing Epstein. They weren't getting together. But Epstein was as obsessed with Trump as any MSNBC host, just denouncing him every which way. He's insane. He's crazy. Is he on drugs? He isn't worth as much. He's poor. Asking him about his finances. I could destroy this man. It's just every single thing. If you run into someone who says that about another person, you've learned nothing about the other person, but you've learned, wow, you're obsessed with this guy. And Trump, I mean, most normal people, I think, would say, great, a pedophile is denouncing me and saying really mean things about me. Fantastic. Trump really wants the liberal elite to love him. I mean, he does not like anyone saying anything bad about him, even a pedophile. And I think he doesn't want it out there.
It does read to me like I have all this access to the president. Ask me anything. I'm going to predict everything. Someone who was, obsessed. It very much reads like that. And it's not Trump being copied in at any point. So
nor does he ever produce anything. I mean, that's the proof, it seems to me, that he didn't have anything on Trump. He'll send out, an email to that New York Times guy saying, "Oh yeah, how'd you like a picture of Trump in my kitchen with a bunch of girls in bikinis?" Well, okay, produce it. You got your opportunity.
Right. And we've all seen Trump standing. We've all seen Trump standing with women in bikinis. Like, that's nothing new, right? Show us something you haven't seen. But why hasn't Biden? People are in the chat room like, why didn't the Biden administration ever release this? Why was there no call really from them to release this? Why do you think?
I'm so glad you asked that, because despite the media's idea that they can somehow tie the pedophilia to Trump, and that I feel pretty sure they will not be able to do. We know his type. It's foreign model. I think this is going to hit Democrats way harder than it hits Republicans. I mean, if you look at Epstein himself, huge Democrat. The people who have been protecting him, like starting with the DA in Palm Beach County, the people who have donated to him, the people he was palling around with, the people he donated to. He wasn't donating to Republicans. The names that have come out heavily heavily Democrats and heavily Democratic donors. Unfortunately, a lot of those donors have now become donors to Trump. So I think that is also part of his reasoning. But I'm sorry, the donors have got to let him go now. They're going to destroy the golden goose that laid the egg if they force him to keep, nope, I'm not releasing. No, the whole country is up in arms over this.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, he's going to lose. Yeah, exactly. So what do you think? Well, I guess we'll get you out of here on this. What do you think is going to happen with the Senate?
That's a good question. John Thune, I mean, he's not known for being particularly bright, but he's got to put this to a vote right away. Some people have been saying, oh, he'll do it before Christmas. No, do it now. Do it right away. Don't do it before Thanksgiving. Just get the vote over with. The longer they drag this out, I don't know for what purpose, the worse they all look. And I must say, I love Representative Clay Higgins. I think he made a huge mistake voting against the release of the files. And from reading his statement, I think he just wanted to stick to principle. And I was a no before, and I'll be a no now. And he mentioned, oh, we shouldn't release the names and the victims. Don't worry, they're covered. Everybody wants to cover them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pam Bondi already said that. So, yeah, I think that's a huge mistake. He's the one lone vote. Go ahead. You had a question.
No, that was it.
Ann Coulter, great to see you after all these years, and a person who's been on this story since mid-2000s. Thank you so much.
And actually, you and I met, we covered Obama's election day together on the CBS Early Show. I was one of those idiots in the background reading social media, and you were front and center on the CBS Early Show. This was almost 20 years ago. You probably don't remember. But gosh, you look amazing. You have not aged in that 20. How did that happen? So I'm so glad to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time.
Timeless wonder.
Thank you. Good to talk to you guys.
Thanks, Ann. Great to see you. Hope to come back soon.